Hey guys, Ava here at DC Cycling Racing, and today we have a 2012 Fat Bob that has a Screaming Eagle air cleaner and Vance and Hines short shots. And today we're going to be installing the TW-222 Wood Performance twin cams today. So let's get a base run on it and see how it does.
Guys, we got the base run on it. 78.5 horsepower, 97 foot-pounds of torque. It's obviously got either a stage tune on it or some kind, because we're going over 6,000 RPM and the rev limiter factory is usually like 58. So it does have some kind of tune on it. But there's what our base run is, and we'll get the cams in it and get you the final numbers.
Okay, we got us a twin cam today. I guess it'd be the first one of these we've done a video on in a while. This is going to be pretty cut and dry. It's pretty easy to get to the cam cover on this one. Going to cut the push rod tubes, put new push rods, lifters, tubes, cam bearings, cam plate and oil pump on this one also. So we're going to get started by pulling these heat shields off. We could probably work around them, but Dave's going to need them off to do his tuning. We got the cam cover off. This one looks a lot the same as an M8 just first looking at it, but there's two cams instead of one. Got one here and one here. In order to put lifters in this one, only the two exhausts will come out the bottom. We'll have to take these lifter covers off to get the two back ones. They'll have to come out the top. So that's a little different. We got the cam chain tensioner off here. Got the bolts out of the cam and the crank. Getting ready to cut the push rod tubes out. May have to pull off this neck here. Not sure yet. But for right now, not going to take it off. You got to get these push rods cut. Get the pressure off the valve springs pushing down on the cam through the lifters. Can't get this off until we get the pressure off of the cams. All right, we're gonna go ahead and cut these push rods. Get out your trusty bolt cutters. And just start cutting them out. Take our push rod tube. We're going back with S&S quickie, so we're going to need the spring and this little cover of this stuff. Got our push rods out, got them cut, got the O-rings taken out. Make sure you take these O-rings out of the top and the bottom. When you go back to put your new push rods and tubes and O-rings in, if those are in there, it really makes it hard to make that work. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this cam gear off, crank gear, set that out of the way. And here we've got two cams. That's the twin cam. So other than the two cams, this is a lot like an M8, or alike in several ways. We're going to pull this off, oil pump hooked right to the back of it like an M8. Then we're going to take these 8 bolts out. So we'll get these lifter covers off and pull the 2 rear ones out from the top, and the 2 front ones will drop out the bottom or top, either one. We've got our bolts out of our cam plate. We've got our 4 bolts out of our oil pump. Some of it might stick to the back of the cam plate. We got our lifters sitting here loose. Pull it out the top. Make sure you catch this anti-rotation pin that keeps the lifter from rolling around. Get our lifters out. We've got our bolts out of our cam plate. We'll pull it back and we'll start losing some oil. And there's part of our oil pump here that's stuck to the back of the cam plate. Set it down in here. Here's the rest of our oil pump. So it makes it nice on this fat bob, this exhaust. You don't even have to take it off. Just took the heat shields off, which had to come off anyway for tuning. And here's the oil pump that came out of it. It's got a little scarring in it, which most of them have. The back side of this is the scabbing side. Picks the oil back up and sends it back to the tank. Just need to look at these good and make sure they're in good shape. This customer's getting a new cam plate and oil pump, so we're not worried about it too awful much. We'll stick it back together. And that's about all there is to it. Here's your feed side or your pressure side, scabbing side on the back. Pulls oil out of here between the cases, and then here it pulls out of the bottom of the cam chest, sends it back to the tank. We're going to look in here at our inner cam bearings, and they're stock. They haven't been changed, so they have the spaces between the rollers just like the M8s. So we'll be pulling them out, putting new cam bearings in, checking the pinion run out, and go back from there. All right, we got our pinion run out tool here, fueling tool, got our valve indicator set up, got our 2 spark plugs out, got the rear wheel jacked up, got it in 6th gear, make it easy to turn, and we're going to roll around here and see how much run out we have. Looks like we've got almost 3 thousandths, which is pretty good for a stock crank. Almost 3. That's pretty good. We can live with that. All right, getting ready to pull these inner cam bearings. This tool looks a little different than the other one. It's a Jim's tool, good stuff. This part here, we'll push inside the cam bearing, put this tool in the middle, and instead of having that plate that goes across here, we'll use this instead, and it will slide on there. Washer. Get that nut started on our puller. We'll take a wrench and hold the puller, and then take the crescent wrench running the nut down. Right. and we're going to replace with the new full roller needle bearing. Let's get that done, and we'll do the other one. Okay, we're getting ready to push these new inner cam bearings in. You can see these are the full needle rollers. I got my tool fixed up. I can go ahead and put my tool on, and I can do both of them without having to take it off and switch these shafts over to the other side. So we just got it fixed. We can do two. Got them oiled up good. Got the case lubed. You see the manufacturer's part numbers and things here. That's the side you push on. Okay, this is another Jim's tool. I've been using this one for years. It's just good stuff. Right. Just screw this in till it touches. Screw them in till it touches, no real pressure. I'll take my ratchet socket and push it in. Alright, got them both pushed in. We'll take our tool back off. Take our tool off. We'll take this pick and roll those bearings around and make sure that it didn't mash the casing of the bearing or anything. They both turned good. That should be okay. So we're going to be getting ready to put our oil pump cam plate in. Now this one's getting a new cam plate and oil pump and new cams, so we wouldn't even have to take this apart. Except we need the tensioner and the cam chain. Those are the two pieces we need off of this, or we wouldn't even be fooling with it. That don't look too awful bad. Got a little wear on it. Not real bad. You want to make sure these tensioner pads aren't stuck. These things can stick, and then they'll just stick in, and it lets the chain flop around and create some noise. And I believe we're getting new tensioner shoes. So we got our tensioner off. Now we want to get this snap ring off of this front cam. You want to look and see this front spacer here is 100 thousandths. That goes back on the front. This one has a 130 thousand spacer on it, which is pretty much what we use with new cams. They normally come with a 110 thousandths, so we'll see what that's going to take. That 130 may be good, may not. We'll have to check and see. We'll get this snap ring off. We're going to push this cam out. Of course, the install kit comes with new snap ring, new seals. Okay, there's the cam plate that we're not going to use. Pressure relief valve is right here. Full pressure relief valve. And here's what we needed. We need this chain. I like to try to keep the cams back in the same rotation as far as the way the chain's used to running. Put that out of there. These look to be stock cams. Okay, we got our cams out. We're not going to use those. Okay, we got our new Screaming Eagle oil pump we're getting ready to put in. You see this has a nice taper on it right here. Some of them, the oil pumps we see, don't have any taper hardly at all. Makes it a little harder to put in. Makes it a little harder to get it pushed in this O-ring once it's in the case. So when it's got a good taper like that, I like to put my O-ring in the case first. Some people do it, put it on the oil pump. Some people put it in the case. It just depends which oil pump to me. That O-ring inside the case. It's probably a little hard to see. We've got these other two O-rings. I like to go ahead and stick them in. They go here. This one really doesn't do anything but just stop up a hole. This bottom one here is very important. We got a new oil pump. We want to make sure it's oiled up good. I guess you can put too much oil on it. It would just run off anyway, wouldn't it? Just like to give it a good start. I want to make sure it had every opportunity to have a long life. Drop that down in the housing. And that's our scavenge side of the oil pump. Got a pretty good set of gears, pretty big set of gears for the scavenge side. Get that down in there. And then we get one of these spacer plates here. Goes in next. And this spring. Then another spacer plate goes in. This is the pressure side of the oil pump. It's kind of small compared to the scavenge side, isn't it? Stick it in there. There's several ways to put this together. You can put the case on there and then put the gears in it. Move up this part there. I like to do it with a flat part of the pinion shaft. There. Try to get a little oil in that bearing. A little oil in these needle bearings. Okay, when you get this flat spot here, you got to line up your gears in your oil pump to match that and hope it goes well. So it'll go something like that. Make sure you get it started in that O-ring. If these gears here don't go on first time, it's no big deal. You can push them in after you get the body in place. And once you get that all ready, then you want to take your fingers and get over here where the O-ring is, and here, and you want to push that in, and it should just kind of snap in place. Like that. If it didn't go in place like that, kind of snap in place, then I'd pull it back out and I'd start over, do it again until it went in there, until I was happy. I have seen it cut the O-rings. You don't want to take a hammer handle or a block of wood and a hammer and try to drive it in there or anything. It should snap right into place. Some of them are harder than others to get in. Some of the other manufacturers are harder. Harley's one of the easier ones to get snapped in place. Okay, we're going to get ready to start on the cam plate. Okay, we're getting ready to put our cams in our cam plate and get our cams timed, get our cam chain back on. We're going back with a Screaming Eagle cam plate. got brass bushings in it. It's a pretty nice unit here. So we're going to oil this thing up good. Got our cams here. I've already got those cleaned up. Got the Cosmoline off of them. These are Bob Woods TW-222s. Good cams. We put lots of these in. Cam chain. And our front cam here. And this is just the way I do it. There's many ways to do it, I guess. I get my timing mark down here to the bottom. And just kind of hold it up and I look at these two timing marks and these two teeth and then these two here and make sure they're straight. Make sure they're in alignment. Rear cam, front cam. I get my cam plate. Just get it started over the rear cam. There it went. Just didn't have it just right. There we go. Got our cams in. Got our timing mark here and here facing each other. Make sure they're straight. We want to put our 100,000ths spacer back on the front cam. We're going to put our snap ring back on. We want to make sure it's down on there good because of the wave. Looks like that could be a little closer yet. There it went. There we go. That looks good. And put our tensioner in. Got our new tensioner in our holder. All right, we've got our cams in our cam plate. Our timing marks lined up. Can't see the ones on the back anymore. So you gotta make sure you've got them straight. Because if you put it in with this out of time, it's not going to run very well. It may sound good, but it won't run very well. We had one person that found that out. Okay, we got our two O-rings in here. And we're going to see if we can slide this cam plate in. Got to get just right to go in those inner bearings. And there it is. I'll put the bolts in, then the oil pump bolts, roll it around, get everything lined up, and then torque it down. We got the cam plate put in, oil pumps in, cam plate's torqued down. It's got 2 dials. Not much you can do on it other than just bolt it up, torque it down. But the oil pump will move some. So we're going to try to let the oil pump find its happy place. We're just going to turn it around some. Then we're just going to barely snug these just a little. These bolts are loose. Turn it some more. Everything seems to be good and free. Move them. Hard to believe, but if you get that oil pump enough out, it will bind up to where you can't turn the rear wheel. You don't want that. You want to make sure that it's free, that it rotates good, and that it's kind of centered. All right, we're going to torque these bolts down, then we're going to get ready to put the lifters in. Okay, we're getting ready to check the alignment between the cam and the crank. It had a 130,000 spacer on it, and I'm going to put it back on there. I'm going to start with it, and we'll just put our cam gear on and our crank gear, and we'll stick our bolts in here. I always like the feel of that, just make sure there's just a little movement. Roll these gears around. 2 timing marks lined up. I don't have any movement. We've got a little bit there. 10,000 is the allowed amount out. That's got hardly, just a very, very little. It ain't nowhere near 10 thousandths. So we should be good with that. Yep, we should be good with that. If you had any doubt, then you would want to stick a feeler gauge in here and see how much clearance you have. It could be that gear or this one, either one that's out. You can move this one, but you can't move this one. Okay. So if anything at all, if you tried to use the next size spacer, you would be farther off than you are now. All right, we'll take those back off, clean the oil and all off the threads, put our cam chain back on it, and torque these down and start on our lifters. Okay, we're getting ready to get the air out of these lifters. Got them in our tool here. This is a Jim's tool. Works really well. Got the lifters in there. Drop them down in this oil. Put the top on it. Hook our air hose up to our mighty vac. Looks like that's about it. Okay, we're getting ready to put these lifters in. Got the air out of them. We'll put a little Disassembly lube on them. Give them a good chance. Okay. We got our oil hole here where the oil goes into the lifter. You can't really point that hole right at the oil supply that goes in there. You can either point it this way or back towards the engine because of the wheel, the way it rolls on the cam. But either way you put it, oil's going to come all the way around it and it's going to go in that hole. So in this case, I'm going to put them with the oil holes facing the engine. Okay, getting ready to put these push rod tubes together. It's an S&S Quickies. Take a tube, This piece we saved from the originals. Slide it on there. And we got a spring and then a washer. I like to put a little oil on it. So when I slide my O-ring of the different sizes of O-rings, take this smallest one and it slides down over there, and then the bottom half of the tube, and that's ready to go in. Putting in the last push rod. Got my O-rings on it. It's an exhaust. Slack out of the push rod. Now I'm going to turn it 4 turns to 24 flats. And there's my mark I made. Keeper in, and it's ready to go.
Hey guys, so we're going to go over the dyno sheet on this one. This is the before and after. Had 78 horsepower, 97 foot-pounds of torque before. Now we have 90 horsepower and 107 foot-pounds of torque. And that's from adding the Wood TW-222 and Power Vision tune license and getting it all tuned in. Really nice gains. One of my favorite drop-in cams without doing, big bores and stuff, and then we'd want something a little bigger, but great results as always.